Good evening, gentlemen. Just kind of a little history and basis of St. John's Day and what it means to us as Masons. We ask, who were the St. Johns and why do we have such high regard for them? Well, we have a note of more than one. Everybody thinks St. John in the Bible is all the same individual, but actually he's three. Most people only know of two, but I'll get into the first two as they know. But as John McHenry, or John McCoy, brought us the knowledge of St. John the Alamer. St. John of the Alamer, he was a giver. He started 78 churches in Alexandria in Egypt. Almost 1,400 years ago. Now, he was much later after Christ, and nobody has real regards of, or has a remembrance of everything that he did. But he was once noted for a brother or a patron. He would sit outside a church, and a person would come up and he would ask him. He says, "What is it you need?" And he's like, "Well, I'm trying to get back to France." Well, he says, "Well, what do you need for that?" And he's like, "Well, I need 5 pounds of silver." He says, "Okay, I give you 5 pounds." He gives him 5 pounds of silver. Well, he walks down, ends up getting robbed. Well, he comes back to St. John of Alamer, and John says, "You're back so soon?" He's like, "Yes, I've been robbed." And he says, "Okay." So he gives him then 20 pounds of silver. And after that, he runs out, and he gets out into the Mediterranean Sea, and lo and behold, a great storm sinks his boat, and he comes then back, and St. John says, "What is it you need?" And he's like, "My boat was sunk in the Mediterranean Sea." And I know everybody else is going like, "Oh yeah, this guy's taking this guy for all he's worth." So he then gives the man 200 pounds of silver. He's like, "Now, take this money, use one of my ships, and go to France." He went to France and traded it for copper. He got there, made his trip, traded his copper because copper was a high commodity in Egypt for trinkets and whatnot. Traded his silver, and when he was en route back home, that turned into 10,000 pounds of gold on his trip back. Now that just shows the charity that we as Masons regard as a high noble property in men. Now, there are two other St. Johns that we have in high regards, and St. John's the Baptist, which is held on the 24th of June every year, which is the summer solstice. It is the longest day of the year when the sun reaches its zenith, or apex of light, so that the most amount of light is visible. And it also brings the morning, or the beginning, which is what he was known for, is bringing Christ in. He was the prophet that brought Christ into the area, and so that everybody would begin to know Christ as the beginning. Now, the other St. John, St. John's the Evangelist, he has a special day on December 27th, which is the longest day of the year. It is also the ending, is what he's known for. So we have a beginning and ending, just like the Alpha and the Omega. Everything has to have a beginning and an ending. And what's in the middle? Some other aspect. There's always three in this aspects. And you'll find that a lot in Masonry, a Trinity of three, for some reason. I'll get into that at another speech on another occasion. I don't have time for getting into that. Now, no other saint has any higher regard than Saint John the Baptist. Even Jesus Christ in the Holy Bible in Matthew 11:11 says, "Among them born of woman, among them that are born of woman, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist." Now that's pretty high regards coming from that was men and women who, through their presence and words, turn the soil of our lives and make us ready to receive God's mystery in fresh ways, and are continuing the ministry of John the Baptist and St. John the Evangelist. St. John the Evangelist is recognized as the apostle of love, light, and the bringer of comfort of nearly any issue at hand. So, with a quote from Philip Elam in a catechism on Freemasonry, he states that virtue, faith, hope, and charity are normally represented as the top three rungs of Jacob's ladder. And this is in Christian art. John the Baptist is represented by faith, John the Evangelist by hope, and John the Almoner for charity. Which is why Freemasonry holds such a high regard for our Saints John's on these glorious days. Thank you.